Did you bring me on this show to insult me?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all don't want it with us, man. We straight gangsters over here.
Straight
man.
gangsters. Yeah, good morning and welcome back. You are listening to Scout Team Sports. We're bringing it to you hot and live like we do each and every AM, giving you the latest and greatest in all the sporting news all around the world. Today we have a hot show for you. We're coming off last night. We did Scout Team After Dark. We do that every Wednesday from 7:30 to 9 o'clock. We're coming off a great episode last night, a great show last night. We had a special guest. If you did not get a chance to catch it live, make sure you check out that podcast. Search Scout Team Radio on Apple Podcasts or go to our website, scoutteamradio.com. But this morning, we've got a lot of good stuff to cover. First of all, last night, Harden, another huge night. The NBA, lots of great performances. We will dive deep into the NBA and what's going on in the NBA. We know what the Australian women's finals is going to look like. We'll talk a little bit about that. We've got a little leftover Hall of Fame talk with the Major League Baseball. We might get into some discussion there. And lastly, we'll talk just a little football. So we've got a ton of stuff to look forward to. Should Ben Roethlisberger get an extension? Maybe the owner thinks so. We'll find out all of that great stuff coming up on this show. Again, we're excited that everybody is tuning in. We are excited to have you here on the airwaves with us this morning. Again, we are Scout Team Sports. Each morning we come at you on 12-ounce sports radio at 6 a.m., and we replay again at 11 a.m. If you can't catch the live show, we are also being simulcasted over on Barn Burner Network, so you can check out Barn Burner Network. They play our podcast. They've tried a couple different time slots, usually afternoon, around 5 or 6. They will be playing it. Yesterday, we had a 10 a.m. time slot. Very good time slot over there at Barn Burner Network. We liked it. We liked it a lot. So thank you for the Barn Burner Network for playing our show. They're doing an amazing job. They're based out of Toronto, Canada, and a lot of great – Toronto's a great sports town. I think it gets a little unrecognized for how great of a sports town it is. You know, they've got the Raptors, they've got the Blue Jays. When you think of some of the great Major League Baseball teams over the past 30 or 40 years, I always remember that early 90s Joe Carter Blue Jays. That was one of the best teams that I've ever seen. And Joe Carter at the height of his career over there in Toronto. Another guy that was a Toronto legend is Roy Halladay. Now, Roy Halladay, got some breaking news on him and his Hall of Fame induction, I guess, information. We'll go with that. Roy Halladay, his late wife, his widow, because Roy Halladay is deceased as he's getting elected into the Hall of Fame, has decided not to put a team on Roy Halladay's bust. Now, there's good reason for that because he was a big-time Toronto Blue Jays star, but he was also a big-time Philadelphia Phillies star. Now, she felt that it would be better just to honor the man as a Hall of Famer, honor him individually, and not put that team representation on there. I don't think that's necessarily a bad move. I don't think that's something that really, it doesn't hurt my feelings at all. Now, Blue Jays representation may want to have their team on there. Phillies representation may want their team on there. But, you know, this is where we're at, and this is what we're getting. So, Toronto fans, I appreciate you and what you're doing for the show here. And I hear something in the background buzzing, and I think that's a good friend of mine. So I'm going to go ahead and get our intros out of the way. I am one of your great co-hosts here, and they call me Loudbeard.
You are the most egotistical, self-deluded person I have ever met.
Yes, and all of that is true. and the great patriot himself, the man that needs no introduction, but we're going to do one anyway.
America, America.
Yeah, it's your boy Chris America coming to you live this Thursday, January 24th. This is Kobe Bryant Day, Loudbeard. And I'm listening to you talk about the great athletes of Canada. And how can you talk Canada in sports without talking about the Hart family? You know, Bret the Hitman Hart, Owen Hart, all those other great Hart wrestlers. I remember the good old-fashioned
Jim
America.
the Anvil Neidhart.
Yeah, there you go. You got the Canada versus America, and then every once in a while, England and Russia would get involved. Those were the good old days of the World Wrestling Foundation. Or Federation. Was it Federation? Yeah, Federation.
It was definitely Federation.
It's been so long since it's been WWF, I forgot.
Yeah, I still am. I don't know why. I guess maybe it's because it was my childhood years, but I still think of it as the WWF. Do you still feel that way, or are you all in on the WWE?
I'm still known to occasionally use the WWF, but it's slowly, I mean, it's been almost, it's got to be 20 years now, Loudbeard. I think it was like 99 or 2000. At least that's where I feel like it. But then I watch a lot of videos with like The Rock versus Hogan, and that's when I thought it switched over to WWE, but it still has the WWF logo on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it has been a while, and yes, I should have already come over to the WWE side. And I say WWE, but I think in my heart of hearts, it'll always be the WWF, because that's what I grew up to know and love. And that's what it was. It was always the WWF. Now, for newer generations that haven't known anything different, yes, WWE all the way. But for us old men, WWF is still, that's where it's at, man. That is where it's at.
Yep, so it was a sad day in sports history. May 5th, 2002 is when the WWF died and the WWE was born.
And I don't remember all the specifics, but I believe the World Wildlife Foundation had sued them because they had also the WWF, even though the WWF as a wrestling organization had been around forever. But by 2002, the other WWF was like, oh, wait a second. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You're taking our initials.
Yeah.
WWE had to move on from that. Oh, man. I could talk wrestling for a long time, especially 90s wrestling. That was my jam. That and the Attitude Era are just, those are my jams.
When they switched the logo, the old logo was cool because it had the W, and the F was incorporated with the other W. And then when they went to WWE, they just got rid of the F part. And I'm like, so it's World Wrestling? Where's the entertainment? So the logo's never worked for me.
Yeah, the new logo's garbage. I completely agree with that. It's trash. Chris America, what are we going to do with that WWE? They're in a rock and a hard place. They can't get their name right. They can't get their initials right. They're about 2 years too late on the XFL because all these other football organizations are coming together. Oh, yeah,
the Orlando Alliance with the American Alliance Football League with the Orlando Apollos.
Yes. Though the Orlando Apollos quarterback, apparently he had an injury, so he's going to be on the shelf for a little while. That would be Jeff Godfrey, former UCF quarterback. So he's a local legend here in the Orlando area where we are located. So we know of him. Outside of Orlando, probably in Toronto, nobody really knows who Jeff Godfrey is. I don't believe he ever played for the CFL, so I don't expect you guys to know, but just take our word for it. The Orlando Apollos, they're for real.
They're
Especially
too
with
legit
the
to
old
quit.
ball coach.
Oh, yeah, Steve Spurrier coaching them. It's fun times. I every time I see a Steve Spurrier interview and he's talking football, I'm like it warms my heart because I'm a Gator fan. That's who I was raised on. That's the coach who raised me. There's always one coach when you're a kid that kind of raised you. You looked up to him more than any other coaches, depending on which sports team it was. And Steve Spurrier was that guy for me. Who was that guy for you, Loudbeard?
Looking up as a sports guy, I mean, I guess for me it would have been Joe Gibbs. You know, he was the greatest coach of all time. GOAT. Just putting it out there. Just doing it. Mm-hmm. Hey, speaking of 90s athletes, I'm just going to put this out here because I didn't get a chance to talk about it yesterday, but I always liked this guy, and I kind of felt bad for him the other day. Fred McGriff. Did you like him when in the 90s on those Atlanta Braves teams, and earlier than that he was on the Padres? You remember Fred McGriff from the 90s baseball, early 2000s?
Loudbeard, growing up here in Orlando, baseball wasn't that big of a deal. I wish I would have gotten into baseball as a kid, but I just found the sport boring. There wasn't any teams here when I was growing up. Tampa didn't exist. The Florida Marlins came in like 92 or 93, and they were just kind of trashed for a while. And they were all the way down to Miami. That's like a 4 or 5 hour drive depending on traffic. So I didn't really pay attention to baseball, though. As a left-hander, I kind of should have, because I could be in the minor leagues right now pitching still.
Okay. All right. Well, putting that out there, future minor league or former potential minor leaguer, is that a good
when
title for you?
When you have a left hand and you can pitch, you're set for at least the minor leagues.
All right, well, Fred McGriff was a great player in the 90s. He was part of those Atlanta Braves teams that were always just on top of the world. And I'm with you. Down here in Florida, we did not have any major teams, but TBS always played Atlanta Braves teams. So I got to see Fred McGriff quite a bit. And I loved his nickname. They used to call him Fred McGriff the Crime Dog because of the old McGruff Crime Dog commercials that would play. So McGriff the Crime Dog, he had his 10th year of eligibility in the Hall of Fame and falls short at 39.8%. I love seeing a guy from my childhood that I looked up to as being a great baseball player get the recognition of getting votes in the Hall of Fame, but him falling short definitely soured me a little bit.
Yeah, sorry about that, Loudbeard. And you said that you watched TV.
It's
yeah,
okay.
I know. Hey, bud, it's gonna be okay.
All right, go ahead.
But yeah, so we had TBS to get our Atlanta Braves baseball, but there was another station that I watched more than TBS, and if I did watch baseball, it was this team. It was the Chicago White Sox on WGN.
See, I watched the Cubs on WGN. They played both.
Yeah.
But I would always love the Harry Carey. Like, I almost watched the games just to hear Harry Carey because he was straight up entertaining, and him singing during the 7th inning stretch, I mean, priceless. Absolutely priceless.
I would just tune in just to watch Frank Thomas, the Big Hurt.
Oh, yeah, Big Hurt. Robin Ventura was also on that team. That was a fun team to watch. Chicago White Sox, around that time, very, very, very hot team. Cubs, on the other hand, not so good. They did have Ryan Sandberg and Mark Grace, but they never were that good, if that makes any sense.
What are you talking about? When they had that Henry Rowan Gardner kid? That kid with the broken arm?
From the Rookie of the
Year? Yeah,
Rookie
of the Year.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, when they had him, man, they were lights out.
I can't believe you remember his name. I think you've watched that movie way too many times.
Oh, way too many times. I actually bought it for Christmas for the boys. We still have to watch it.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, did you just recently watch it? Because then that would make sense. But no, you haven't. You just remember from watching it 15, 20 years ago, still remember the kid's name.
No, I really remember because there's a baseball player now that has a name that's similar to his. I want to say he plays for the Giants. There's like a Rowan Gardner or... I don't know, man. There's a baseball player that plays now that has a similar name to that, and I always think it's funny when I hear it.
Interesting. I've got one last little baseball nugget, and then we can move on to some other sports. A-Rod, he thinks it's just a shame that Clemens and Bonds aren't already in the Hall of Fame. And Chris America, do you know why A-Rod said these comments? Do you know why?
Why did he say it, Loudbeard?
He said it because he's selfish. Because when he gets voted in or gets to be on the ballot for the Hall of Fame, A-Rod wants his chances of getting voted in to be stronger. And, he's had some speculation and some stuff going on in his career with PEDs. So he's thinking if Bonds and Clemens get voted in, then he's going to be a shoo-in. So he wants to strengthen that argument. So he's coming out and making comments just, acting like he's for the players and, it's just a shame that Bonds and Clemens aren't in. No, you don't give a crap about Bonds and Clemens. All you care about is yourself, which is typical A-Rod. He cares about himself, and all he really wants to do is make sure that he gets voted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think if they don't allow Bonds, who was never really proven that he took steroids, did he? I don't think he did. I think it was all alleged, and we all just assumed, but there was never a positive test or anything like that, right?
I'd have to go back. I feel like there was some positive tests. Yes, I think there was some.
I thought it was just the word. I thought it was just the word of that pharmacist or something that went to prison, and he just started throwing a bunch of baseball players under the bus, and Barry Bonds was the biggest name he had.
No, I'm pretty sure there was more to the story than that. I mean, we'd have to do some investigative research. Scout Team Bureau of Investigation. We'll have to contract them to get on it.
Or if you're listening to the show, just hit us up on Twitter at Scout Team Radio. Let us know. Did Barry Bonds ever test positive for PEDs or steroids or anything like that? And then you had Roger Clemens, but I feel like the biggest fish that baseball ever got was A-Rod. Like, they had him, they had his positive test, they got an actual apology and a confession out of him, because normally when athletes test positive, they just deny it. They say it wasn't me, the test is bad, and then they take their suspension, and then they come back and move on with life. Where A-Rod, he definitely fell on the sword with that one, and maybe he did that again for the selfish reasons that you're saying. Maybe he thinks, well, the other guys didn't do that, and they're not getting in the Hall of Fame. So maybe if I fall on the sword, I act humble and everything else, then the Hall of Fame voters will see that, and they'll forgive me and let me in.
Well, whatever he's doing, he's trying to make some noise, and he's just trying to help himself out. I do think he's a little bit of a selfish dude. Now, as an analyst, he's kind of become not so much like Tony Romo, but kind of like Tony Romo. And what I mean by that, and I need to explain this a little bit more in detail, is that he's more likable as an analyst. Like, he's not, this clairvoyant like Tony Romo is, where he can call all the plays, but he just seems like a nice, likable guy when he's up there and he's talking. And you kind of think, oh, okay, this is the likable A-Rod. Not the douchey player A-Rod that people kind of started to dislike towards the end of his career. This is the really nice, likable A-Rod. And as an analyst, I think he's fantastic. Now, will he ever get voted in the Hall of Fame? Who knows? I mean, this whole thing, we've talked about the Hall of Fame a lot. With all the steroid stuff, it's almost exhausting trying to figure out when, if, how, what's going to happen next with the Hall of Fame voting. And I don't know about you, sir, but I'm going to move on from this Hall of Fame stuff.
Well, we did have a Twitter mention at Memphis Spence from Sports Radio America. You can catch his show on at noon on 12-ounce Sports Radio or sportsradioamerica.com. It's College Credit Hour. He says, I don't think there was a positive test for Bonds. I'm pretty sure there wasn't, Loudbeard. I think that was always Barry Bonds'
You know what,
number.
though? I'm going to bring in my real source here.
Okay.
Mike from Craft Brewed Sports, who Mike is an expert when it comes to baseball knowledge. Thank you, Mike. Mike says, at Scout Team Radio, yes, Bonds tested positive. Came out during the Balco case.
Now I don't
know
who to believe.
Yes. Oh, see?
Memphis
I'm telling
Spence
you.
of College Credit Hour versus Mike Berland of the Craft Brewed Sports. Conflicting
Berlon.
reports
Okay,
here.
you got to pronounce
Berlon,
it right.
sorry.
Look at
what did
you.
I say?
This is my special insider that
Listen,
I'm bringing in to confirm my case.
Only people who
You got
agree
to
with
say
me,
his name right.
Only people who agree with me get their name pronounced correctly on the air.
All right, so
Take that, Mike.
Whatever. You do what you want.
All right. Well, so far the results are inconclusive, like maybe Barry Bonds' tests were.
Okay. You can make up whatever you want to make up. I know you just say things and just to hear yourself talk, but that man tested positive. There's just no he tested. Okay, moving on. Let's go NBA. We're getting out of Major League Baseball, and we're going to the NBA, Chris America. James Harden had himself a night last night. He dropped 61 points in Madison Square Garden. He ties Kobe Bryant for the record for a visitor coming into Madison Square Garden and scoring points on the Knicks with 61 points. And guess what? The Rockets actually win 114-110. He continues his scoring streak. He's just on fire, James Harden. It's his fifth game this season with at least 50 points. And he is the first player since Shaquille O'Neal in 2000 when Shaq had over 60 points and 15 rebounds. He's the first person to do that. So James Harden last night, 60 points plus and 15 plus rebounds at Madison Square Garden. This is crazy, Chris America. This is crazy. This guy right now, I've never seen somebody so hot and somebody that's had to do so much for a team.
Sorry, I was going to ask you, is he now the best player in the world?
Okay, are you trying to get me to divide my LeBron fandom and talk about this? Because I see what you're trying to do here.
Well, the best ability is availability. Right now, LeBron James is not available.
Oh, breaking news. This just came in on Twitter. I just want you to know, Chris America, your expert witness is backing off a little bit. I'm just saying, Memphis Spence from the College Credit Hour, which you can catch on Sports Radio America every day at noon, he is letting us know that he didn't really follow all the specifics of the Belko case. He wasn't all the way into it, so he said, I say you believe him. Yes, we're going to believe Mike. You believe me. You believe Mike. You believe Memphis Spence, who is now turned over to our side of the force here. And Chris America, I'm sorry, you're wrong. I just wanted to prove myself right again. Just had to say that.
Memphis Spence, you're dead to me.
Good. All right.
But let's get back to your...
Another shout-out tonight, 8:30, Craft Brewed Sports. It's on every Thursday night. Mike Berlon from Craft Brewed Sports. He's a listener of our show. We listen into their show. They put on a great one, him and Scotty and Joe. Make sure you check them out. They're usually on 12-ounce Sports Radio, but they also do their Facebook Live. So if you want to check them out at Craft Brewed Sports on Facebook. Good friends of the show, both the College Credit Hour with Memphis Spence on at noon on Sports Radio America and Craft Brewed Sports are shows that you all need to listen to. These are some of the best on the airwaves, I'm telling you. Take my word for it, Loudbeard's word.
Well, I mean, Memphis Spence show was good, but now, I don't know, I'm having my doubts. No, I'm just playing. It's still a good show, even though he doesn't agree with he's backed off on my side, but that's okay. I will die on this hill. But Loudbeard, I want to get back to it. Is James Harden, is he at least better than KD right now? Would you rather have KD or James Harden on your team?
So I'm gonna take a swerve here on you, and you're not gonna see this one coming. I would not want James Harden on my team because, for one reason, well, I'm gonna give you a couple reasons. The first reason is I bet on him last year, and I had to shave my beard, and he's the beard, and he's gonna make a guy shave their beard. I didn't think that was right. I feel a little bit betrayed by him. Ever since I lost that bet because I bet on the Rockets to beat Golden State, James Harden's been dead to me. Two, he's a little too much of a selfish player. We're talking about him scoring 61 points, but he's throwing up 38, 40 shots a game. I mean, he's like a Kobe Bryant, and I give Kobe Bryant some heat because I don't think he is top 5 greatest of all time, as some other people would argue. I like guys that are more team-oriented, and Kevin Durant, he's fit in with the Golden State Warriors, and he knows now how to take the lead when he needs to, or kind of defer to other players. So I would take Kevin Durant over James Harden. I still think James Harden's a great player. It's just a different style of basketball that I don't really love to watch when it's that ISO ball and he's going to the line. Like last night, I think he was 25 of 28 from the free throw line. Like, I don't want to see a dude taking 28 free throws in a game. Like, 25 points just from free throws. Like, I just don't like that style of game, and I don't think that's a good team atmosphere. Right now, it is just the James Harden show in Houston, and for my team, like, let's say we're rebuilding the Orlando Magic, and I can do some fantasy draft where I could bring in whatever superstars I wanted. I wouldn't be bringing in James Harden. I'd be bringing in guys that are more team guys.
All right, so it's proven that Loudbeard is another KD burner account.
Okay. Sure, you can say that. All right, so moving on, big news in the NBA. This is another one. We mentioned it last night on our After Dark show, and, you know, this is sad news right here. So the Indiana Pacers are having a heck of a year, and one of their key components of them having such an amazing year is Victor Oladipo. Now, last night, Indiana does get a big win over the Toronto Raptors, which, good. The Pacers got to feel good about that. What they do not feel good about is Vic sustains a very serious knee injury. Now, we don't know the extent of this injury. It's going to get checked out today. It's going to be – something's going to happen where they're going to be able to see what's going on with this knee. But from all accounts on the Indiana side, they are nervous that this is a season-ending injury, that Victor Oladipo will be out. He gets stretchered off the court last night, which is always a scary sight to see. And now Indiana's got to move on. without Victor Oladipo for the rest of the season. So superstars on the Indiana Pacers with serious injuries. I feel like there's a curse over there.
Yeah, and it sucks because Indiana's a fun team to root for, and Victor Oladipo, former Magic legend, is just a good guy. He was great for the Orlando community, so you hate to see that happen to them. But yeah, tough break for them, and they're gonna crash, right? That's pretty much gonna be the outcome. Now they did end up beating the Raptors. I don't know if you said that or not, but yeah, 110 to 106. They were still able to beat the Raptors, so maybe they won't fall apart, Loudbeard.
You never quite know. I don't see Indiana still being a competitive team without Victor Oladipo. I mean, they're going to be competitive, but it's not going to be a deep run into the playoffs. It'll still be a playoff team. It kind of opens up that East a little bit more. I mean, we were talking about how the East on the top side, their top 5 and 6 teams are just as competitive as the Western Conference. It's the bottom half of the East that it completely falls out, and the bottom half is 10 times worse than the Western Conference's bottom half. But when you lose a guy like Victor Oladipo on the Indiana Pacers, who are one of those top teams in the East, you all of a sudden lose a little bit of that strength in the East. And now it's gonna be a little bit more of an open field when you look at the Eastern Conference. I do think that Toronto is still at the top with Milwaukee. Those two teams are your top 2 teams. Now, Toronto hasn't been playing as hot as of late. Sorry, Canadian listeners, I apologize. But Toronto just losing to Indiana last night, it just seems like I've been a little disappointed. I thought they would be a little hotter right now than they are, but that's okay. It's mid-season. What it's about is getting hot at the right time and getting hot later in the season right before playoff time to carry that momentum into the playoffs.
Yeah, now, Louder, you're talking about getting hot at the right time, and the San Antonio Spurs are going to have to get hot at the right time if they're going to match your guarantee. For those that are new to the show, Loudbeard at the beginning of the season, full-on guaranteed, said, don't at me, bro. This is going to happen. I bet my life on it that the San Antonio Spurs will win 50 games this year because the San Antonio Spurs have like an 18 or 19-year streak of 50 wins or more. They're now sitting at 27-22, Loudbeard, with 33 games left to go. They'll have to go 23-10 the rest of the way if they're going to get those 50 wins. Do you think they'll make it?
23-10, that's a big task, especially in the Western Conference. I'm going to say no. I don't think they make it. This could be the year. And, earlier in the year there was speculation that Coach Pop may not return. So this could be his last season. I mean, I think it should be. I think this guy has done enough for the sport. I think he should retire right off into the sunset. But Coach Pop and what he's done with San Antonio, and this year, I mean, they've got DeRozan and they've got Aldridge, but it just doesn't feel like the same team. They're still not bad, though. They're still holding their weight and still carrying themselves, but 50 wins, I don't think this is the year for it.
That'd be quite the run, though, right? 23-10?
Yeah, and it's not impossible. I could see this team doing that. Again, it's all about getting hot at the right time, and we're just sitting here at midway. We got a long way to go, and this is a good San Antonio can do it. I believe in them.
Oh, you're back now.
Nah, I don't know. I'm a flip-flopper. I believe that they could get hot, but if I was putting money on it, and that's where it counts, right? Right in my wallet, where I can get a little lighter in the wallet, I would say I would put money that San Antonio does not hit 50 wins.
All right, I like it. So, any other NBA news, Loudbeard, before we go to the commercial break?
Oh, there's lots of NBA news, just tons of it. So, there is a superstar out there that I thought would be traded, but it looks like his team is hanging on hope, and he will not be traded. I will let you know who that is after the commercial break. Ha ha ha, Chris America, I stole your lead out.
When I'm working hard, I build up a thirst for sports.
That's when I grab a cold 12-ounce sports radio. Ah, 12-ounce sports radio. Quench your sports thirst.
Scout Team listeners and friends of the show, I've got something special for you. It looks like 12-ounce sports radio has done it again. We have partnered with Rally House. You just go to the website 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner on the right side of the page, and it will take you directly to Rally House. Rally House has some of the greatest, most unique sports items for that diehard fan, casual fan, and anybody and everybody out there that is special in your life. So go ahead and check it out. Once again, go to that website, 12ozsportsradio.com. Click on the banner to the right of the page, and you will get taken to the best sports merchandise website on all of the interweb.
Ring Central features all-in-one phone, messaging, and video conferencing. It's easy to use with unparalleled security. Ring Central simplifies things so you can grow. Call Ring Central to speak with a representative about a price for your growing business at 877-779-3860. Again, that's 877-779-3860.
Hey everybody, it's your favorite Patriot, Chris America, and I want you to listen every single weekday, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and on replays from 11 a.m. to noon of Scout Team Sports. Listen, George Washington did not cross over the ocean blue in 1492 to defeat the Nazis, so you can listen to the same tired national clickbait sports stories. So once again, tune in to us every single morning, 6 a.m. to 7 a.m., and then we replay from 11 to noon. I will see you there, and God bless America.
Yeah, welcome back. Thank you all for listening in. We appreciate it. Once again, you are listening to Scout Team Sports. I'm Loudbeard. He's Chris America. We bring it to you hot and live each morning, Monday through Friday, weekdays, 6 a.m. on 12-ounce Sports Radio. Replay comes on at 11 on 12-ounce Sports Radio. We're also on the Barn Burner Network, and you can check out our podcast. We drop it immediately after our show by 7:15 in the a.m. Our podcast is available. You just search on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Scout Team Radio. You can also search it on Spotify podcasts or anywhere you find a podcast, including our website, scoutteamradio.com. And if you want to get social with us, if you want to interact with the show, make sure you hit us up on Twitter at Scout Team Radio. We like to read tweets on the air. We have arguments brewing back and forth about whether or not Barry Bonds had a positive drug test. Now, I hate to say this, but during the commercial break, Memphis Spence started jumping back on the Chris America train. He is on Chris America's side. He read a news story. I still think it was fake news, but he read a news story saying that there was no actual positive test. It looks like the timeline appears to clear Bonds from everything except obstructing justice. I wonder what he was obstructing justice from, Memphis Spence. Maybe his guiltiness, maybe because he's a guilty, positive, drug testing, unbelievable guy. Is that why? Is that why Memphis Spence? Chris America, I know you want to say something. Go ahead.
No, I mean the whole thing was that did he ever test positive for PEDs? And the answer is no.
That's beside the point. Okay, he's guilty.
I just want to say Memphis Spence has one of the greatest shows of all time. It's you can hear it every day at noon on SRA Sports Radio America or 12ouncesports.com and or 12ouncesportsradio.com 12OZ. Make sure you find it because it really is the best show I've ever heard in my life.
Okay. Look at you. That's a nice plug. Memphis Spence, and you deserve that. You do have a great show. To all of our listeners out there, thank you for listening to us, and thank you for supporting our friends of the show a lot of other great independent radio stations out there, independent radio shows. We support all of them. We want you to listen, embrace, discover all these new shows. Like we said, College Credit Hour with Memphis Spence, Craft Brewed Sports, again, playing on our station, 12 on Sports Radio. Check these guys out. Great shows out there.
Yeah, all great shows. And Loudbeard, since we're still talking NBA a little bit before we left off, I did want to point out to you that there was a challenge, an internet challenge last weekend, and we missed it. I wish we would have talked about it.
The Nugs.
Yeah, the Nuggets. Great.
No, they're Nugs.
They're Nugs?
No, okay, they're Nuggets. Nugs is a weird word. Is that a weird word?
Yeah, a little bit. So Craft Brewed Sports. So the Cleveland Cavalier fans, they got nothing going on. They're in full tank mode, right?
Yeah, full tank.
So they've endeared themselves to me with this challenge, though, because to find entertaining ways to watch the Cleveland Cavaliers, they came out with the Me versus Nuggets challenge. And when the Cleveland Cavaliers played the Denver Nuggets, they took on this challenge as the Cleveland fans of to eat more chicken nuggets than what the Denver Nuggets score against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, I don't remember what the exact score was, but our very own Craft Brewed Sports, you heard Mike chiming in with his lies and his deceit on the internet. I'm still mad at you, Mike. No, I'm just kidding, Mike. I love you. But his co-host, Scotty, is going to take on the challenge, I believe, tonight on Craft Brewed Sports. So if you're still wondering, should I tune in at 8:30? Yes, you should, just to watch a man eat 100+ chicken nuggets.
Yep, and they have the live feed on Facebook Live. Just search Craft Brewed Sports, and you can watch that live. If that's happening tonight, which maybe we'll get confirmation from Mike. I'll have to look at their Twitter page. I know they were announcing. If that's tonight, I mean, that's must-watch TV. That's better than CBS's must-watch TV or NBC's must-watch TV. It's better than all of that. You have to see this. What do you think the over/under is on this nugget eating competition?
I don't know Scotty. I've never ate with him. I'm not sure what his stomach can hold. I know me personally, I feel like I would throw up after 50.
See,
I'm just not a fan of the chicken nuggets from McDonald's. I like 10 is my limit. And then I start getting sick or nauseous after that because they're really not good nuggets.
Good. I'm glad you said that because now all the listeners know that you just can't handle your nuggets like a real man. And so
I can't handle my nugs.
I feel like I could eat a ton of those things, man. I honestly, it's easier said than done, I'm sure. I think the winner on the game the other night was actually they did 120 or something like that, which is to me absurd. But I think I could, on a good day, on a really empty stomach, before I started my diet that I'm on, I think I could have taken out 80, and that would be my my point of no return. Where after that I'd be just done. But again, it's easier said than done. I think 80 would be my absolute max, but I think I could do it. I think I could do 80.
Oh, I think we threw Craft Brewed Sports under the bus. Mike just tweeted out, "Well, we were just talking about it tonight, but now I feel like I need to go get a ton of nuggets." We just promoted the show so good. I could have sworn I saw.
America, man. Hate Chris
I could have sworn I saw Scotty tweet earlier this week that he was going to do it. I could have sworn I saw that.
Mike, blame Scotty. That's good. I like how you do that. Throw the other guy under the bus.
Throw Scotty under the bus.
Easier. That's the best way to do it right there, man.
I think I heard Memphis Spence say he was going to do it today on the show, too.
I'm going to listen in. You better not disappoint us.
Okay, so it's actually my bad. I misread it, so they tweeted out. It wasn't even Scotty. Scotty just retweeted it. They tweeted out Craft Brewed Sports talking the Me versus Nuggets challenge. I thought it said taking the Me. Yeah, no, I thought they said taking the Me versus. Yeah, I missed the L.
Oh.
Now I feel like we need like a Memphis Spence versus the man with the golden mic versus Scotty and the Me versus Nuggets challenge.
I don't know. You think the golden mic could handle his nuggets?
I think he can handle his nuggets. I wish he was here to talk about it.
Yeah.
I bet you he would take that. I bet you he would take that challenge.
Yeah, I think he would. I mean, see, like I said, if I could do 80, I wouldn't be able to beat the how many the Nuggets scored. So I'd be done. I couldn't do the challenge. Now you got to get. I feel like you got to get like 115, 110 just to be in that contention because the way the NBA scores, Nuggets are going to score probably 105, 110, somewhere in that range. So you got to get above that. Now that's tough. That's a lot of chicken nuggets right there.
Yeah, that's way too much. I want to look up their score right now. I want to say they got up to like 115, 120.
Oh, you can check it out, man. You can check it out. I felt like the guy ate 120 and then they scored 103 and he obliterated it. But that's just me trying to remember, and I have a bad memory. I'll go ahead and move forward with NBA because we could talk about these Nuggets all day long. That's such a great topic. I might be stopping by McDonald's on my way home from work today. We'll see. But other news in the NBA, I teased it before the break. We have a superstar that I thought would be traded. I thought this guy was going to be on the trading block, but the Washington Wizards come out and say, that's it, Beal is not available because Bradley Beal is starting to turn this Wizards team around. John Wall elected to have season-ending surgery earlier in the season, and since Wall has been out and will be done for the season, Bradley Beal has taken over as the leader of this team. He's been playing lights out. He's more than likely tonight going to be voted to his second All-Star game, and Bradley Beal is surprising me. I told you on previous shows that I was never a big fan of Bradley Beal, but maybe the problem the whole time was John Wall. So the Wizards, I think they're riding hard, ride or die with Bradley Beal. Now they're making other pieces available. Otto Porter's available. Wizards are on that fringe of trying to get into that last spot in the playoff push in the Eastern Conference. They could do it if Bradley Beal continues on the path that he was on. I think they were 7-4 since that John Wall injury. And, I thought Beal would be gone, but there's plenty of other superstars that are available out there. Chris America, I know you're a big Bradley Beal supporter because he is a former Florida Gator. Do you think the Wizards are smart to hang on to this guy?
It's tough to say, man. We've talked about it before, about how they're both talented guards over there. They've done a good job building a team in Washington, and for whatever reason, it just has not translated well onto the basketball court. They're good to make maybe the second round, but whenever the Wizards make the playoffs, you're never like, I think the Wizards can make a deep run this year. I think they can threat for the Eastern title. But so is it a good move? I don't know, man. I feel like they kind of maybe need to blow it up and try again because what they're doing is not working. Yeah,
but here's the deal. This is what my thought is on this, and I don't know what the Washington Wizards front office is thinking. Okay, so Bradley Beal becomes the center of your team. Now, Otto Porter's available for trade, so if you can get some value for Otto Porter, maybe bring in a different piece, bring in a young player that's up and coming and maybe a draft pick, get some value for Otto Porter, though I think he's overpaid, and I don't know if a team's really wanting to take on his contract. But if you could get some value for Otto Porter, that would be a good thing. And then when John Wall comes back healthy, because it's really hard to trade a player that is taking season-ending, surgery and having issues. When John Wall comes back healthy, I would say you put John Wall on the trading block, and you build the team around Bradley Beal and try to get a different piece in. Maybe a good piece as a big man. Somebody, you got to get some stars around him. But to me, blowing it up is you got to split up John Wall and Bradley Beal. But maybe Bradley Beal's the guy and you let John Wall go. Because John Wall, for how great of a talent he is, it doesn't become wins. This is a number one draft pick that we thought would be just this great superstar. I just don't see it. And I think the Wizards should move on from Beal, move on for Porter, and rebuild and make Bradley Beal their centerpiece. And that could be their move.
And I think they should send some of those players down to Orlando while they're blowing up.
Yeah, Orlando, man.
I just want a superstar on the Orlando Magic, man. It's been 8 years. It's been too long.
I'm going to give you a little scenario here that might cheer you up, Chris America. This is a good segue. So the All-Star voting is tonight. We get to find out who's going to be the All-Stars. And, the Orlando Magic have not had an all-star since the Dwight Howard days, but from the predictions that I'm seeing and the way things are trending, this is the year that Nick Vucevic is going to be an all-star, and I think that's awesome. I think the Orlando Magic, now unfortunately he's now on an expiring deal, and I think they're going to have to pay him a ton of money if they want to keep him being an all-star, being still in the prime of his career. So the Magic need to sign Nick Vucevic, and it's awesome that he's going to be an all-star, and I think he should be the centerpiece of the team. Where they've made mistakes is they keep drafting these young big men thinking that those guys are going to replace Vucevic instead of putting all of your eggs in the Vucevic basket and building around him by getting young point guards and getting other positions. The Magic need a point guard more than any other team in the NBA, and they have to do something. And guys like Mike Conley are available, even though he's got a huge contract. Kemba Walker may be available by trade. The problem is the Magic don't have anything to trade. There's not a lot of value on the Magic unless you want to give up an Aaron Gordon, who is arguably the second best player on that Magic team. The Magic are a tragic story, and it makes me sad to talk about it. Thanks for bringing it up, Chris America.
Yeah, no problem, man. And also, just so you know, you would have to eat 125 nuggets to beat the Nuggets the other night.
Ouch.
It was a 124 to 102 score on Saturday night.
Yeah, I can't do that many. I'm telling you, 80. I think I'd be happy with 80. I think I'd be be on top of the world. Memphis Spence tweeted in, you can't do McDonald's nuggets. He said if this was a Chick-fil-A nugget challenge, he'd be all in. Now those Chick-fil-A nuggets, those are good. They're a lot smaller though, so I think you got to double the number, Memphis Spence. You got to double it. You still think you can do it? I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but Loudbeard, any other NBA news going on?
No, I think we NBA'd it out. Like I said, Kemba's up. He could be on that trade block. Sorry, just reading my notes real quick. So Kemba's up on the trade block also, but MJ would rather re-sign him than trade him, but he will be a free agent at the end of the year. So the Charlotte Hornets have a big decision to make with him. Do they want to see if he walks? Do they want to pull the Kevin Durant like Oklahoma City did, is you wait till the end of the year and then they walk and you get no value for him? Or are you going to do like the Indiana Pacers where they trade him, like Paul George, they traded him, got some value, got a Victor Oladipo in return who ended up being a superstar. When you look at that, it's not worth it. If you're worried that guy's going to walk, you got to make that trade. So Kemba Walker may become available. Charlotte Hornets have a big decision to make, but I'd love to see Kemba move teams and get an opportunity to be a superstar somewhere else.
Free
but that's
Kemba.
That's it for me on NBA. Sorry, I go deep into the NBA sometimes.
Deep into the NBA.
I love the trade deadline's my favorite time of year. This is my Christmas for the NBA season.
So, Loudbeard, you mentioned yesterday that Gasol and Conley are up on the trade block. The last time a Gasol was on the trade block, he went to the Lakers, and the Lakers won a championship. Do you think LA is thinking about crafting that blueprint yet again?
Oh, yeah. They're a player in free agency. They're a buyer. They're looking for any talent that they can get. And Marc Gasol, he's a great big man. Now, the league's a little bit different now where the big man isn't as valued as it used to be because we've gone to this small ball, a lot of three-pointers. But he still brings a lot of value to that. He would bring a lot of value to the Lakers, and that would be a nice little piece to pair up with LeBron James. I don't think it's enough to win a championship, no. I don't think Marc Gasol's enough with LeBron James. They would need a third part to be in that conversation to contend with the Warriors. But I could see the Lakers making some moves, and if Gasol's a move that they can make, go for it, man. I'd be all in. Magic knows what he's doing. He's a great NBA mind. I think that would be a good move for the Lakers.
All right, Loudbeard, you said you stayed up until the wee hours of the morning watching Australian Open tennis. Break it down for us. How does this finals look?
All right, well, we talked about Carolina Pliskova upsetting Serena Williams the other night. Well, Pliskova, she took an L last night. Naomi Osaka defeats her and moves on to the finals. Now, Osaka could be the first woman to go back-to-back on major championships since Serena did it in 2014. And if you remember correctly, on that last major when Naomi Osaka won, She was very young. She's 20 years old. Now she's 21, but at the time she was 20. That was that match that Serena had that dispute with the ref or the judge, and they went at it, and it overshadowed that win. Well, Osaka defeats the woman that defeated Serena, and now Osaka gets her opportunity to shine. But she's got one more player to beat in the finals. She's going up against two-time Wimbledon champion Petra I'm going to say this wrong, but Petra Vitova. And this is just going to be a good matchup. But to me, where I'm looking at is Osaka is that next superstar, that next big name that we're going to start liking in tennis. Serena's on that downturn of her career. We're always going to appreciate and admire Serena, but Naomi Osaka, remember that name. She is the real deal and the next huge tennis star. She's ranked number 4 in the world now, but I could see her moving up to number 1 here in the near future and being the next big tennis superstar.
I like it, man. I like it a lot, and I think you're right, man. I think we talked about the old athletes, how they kind of need to step aside and let the young athletes take over so we can watch new eras and new legacies begin. And I'm going to go all in on Osaka. When is that, at like 2:30 in the morning tomorrow?
I don't know. I'd have to check my schedule. I'm pretty sure I'll be sleeping whenever it does happen.
Maybe I'll set my DVR to record.
All right, well, you talk about these old players and then the young players coming in. I've got one last little topic I want to bring up, Chris America. We got 4 minutes left on the show, and Art Rooney II comes out, and he said Wednesday that there's an extension in talks with Ben Roethlisberger. Now, we saw the Pittsburgh Steelers basically fall apart last year, and Big Ben has taken a lot of hits over his career. Is it time for a team like the Steelers to move on from Ben, a team like the New York Giants to move on from Eli? You've got these big-name quarterbacks that are at the end of their career, and you're seeing a significant decline in their play. Why are we talking extensions? Should the Steelers consider extending Roethlisberger, or should they move on?
I thought they should have moved on 2 retirement announcements ago when Big Ben was on the radio talking about how he wants to retire and everything else. That's when the Steelers should have been saying, all right, this guy doesn't know what he wants. Let's get somebody out there that does know what he wants. But they didn't. So, I don't know. I feel like they're kind of stuck with him. Big Ben, when people talk about Tom Brady and how he's lucked his way into all of his Super Bowl wins, I'm like, no, that's just dumb. But when I look at a guy like Big Ben,
that's a cold take right there. Cold take. No, nobody's lucking into going to the Super Bowl 9 times.
People have that take, man. But when you look at other guys like Eli Manning and Ben Roethlisberger, those are guys you can make arguments that they lucked their way into Super Bowl championships, especially Big Ben's first championship, where Big Ben was almost just an observer, just like the rest of us. God, that was one of the most awful, worst Super Bowl performances by a quarterback to actually win.
Yeah, and that was a huge defense with that one, and that was Jerome Bettis was on that team.
That Seattle versus Pittsburgh Super Bowl was one of the worst.
Yeah. Well, thanks for bringing that up. Now, we talk about the old guard, but there's a new guard, right? We always have these young draft classes. Well, your guy, former Gator legend Will Grier, he doesn't understand why all of these scouts and all of these analysts have all these questions about his arm. He comes out and he says to reporters the other day, he says, I'm the best quarterback in this draft. Now, Chris America, I ask you, is Will Grier the best quarterback in this upcoming draft? And should a team like the Steelers or a team like the Giants move on from their old man quarterbacks and draft a guy like Will Grier?
Well, this draft class isn't that exciting. Where a 5'10", maybe a 5'9" quarterback looks like to be the best prospect in Kyler Murray.
He could be 5'6". They always
they keep shrinking him too. He's gone from 5'11" to like 4'9". Like it's like him and Mini-Me from Austin Powers are like the same height now. It's weird. But Will Grier, I think, is the best prototypical quarterback coming in this draft class. He's that guy that out of all of them, the rest of the guys are like athletic. They've come from these spread offenses, which, hey, the NFL is starting to go that way now anyways. And Grier is a little bit athletic, and he did play in a air raid, spread offense type hybrid offense over there at West Virginia. But I think he's one of the better quarterbacks in there. And if my team drafted him, or if your team drafts him, you should be excited about it. Like, your Redskins should be thinking about quarterback. Forget about the Steelers and the Giants. Your Redskins desperately need a quarterback right now.
Yeah, and this was posed on Twitter a while back. Who would I want to be the Redskins quarterback? If they get an early enough draft pick and Will Greer's available, I think you go Will Greer. If not, later in the draft, you go Brett Rippon. Those are the two quarterbacks I'd love to see the Redskins draft. Wow, Chris America, I can't believe it's that time already.
Hey, yeah, Loudbeard, just to make you feel old, Naomi Osaka, born October 16th, 1997. I bet you can remember what you were doing in 1997.
Yep, I can. Thank you all for listening in. It's been another great show. You were listening to Scout Team Sports. We love being on the air every morning. Chris America, thank you for being on the air with me.
Always proud to do it, man. Ready for tomorrow morning. Fantasy football draft. Ready for it.
Well, you got to come up with a good topic now.
We already did.
Oh, you're right. We did last week. I wrote it down somewhere. I can't remember what it was.
I know what it is.